last recording was just a couple of minutes ago, or an hour ago. I've been bored forming. I'm about to do the chaos.
Now, in the developers' words themselves, in all the interviews that I watched in preparation for this critique, what they kept saying pre-launch,
he's about to get bullied.
Batmobile was designed to take the Arkham games to the next level. It's something they always wanted
Let's
to
go.
do, but weren't able to do given the hardware limitations of the
I don't know of this team. I love using Edge and Beatrix together with Selfie, because the Selfie saga on my channel is still going on.
Arkham City was all about the new open world that they were able to build, and Arkham Knight
Selfie saga continues.
This is how they honestly felt going into the launch of the game. They thought that the Batmobile was really going to be revolutionary and that people were going to love it so much that it was going to be one of the main selling points of the game. Instead, it backfired so heavily that people felt it was one of the low points of the game. It's one of the reasons that a lot of people hate the game, specifically because it feels like more of a battle tank simulator than it does an actual Batman game. Think I'm making this up? Check out this clip from a GameSpot interview where he actually says this very thing.
We really wanted to take big risks at every new iteration. So in Arkham City, it was this massive new open world structure, but for Batman Arkham Knight, it's really all about the Batmobile, delivering the experience and the promise of driving this legendary car in this legendary city. Adding the Batmobile was something that we were very conscious of, that it didn't just feel like it was a bolted-on driving section. We didn't want to just throw away everything that we had developed for previous games, because Batman is about using whatever is the most effective tool at the time. So the idea of man and machine really lay at the heart of that. Using the Batmobile when it's appropriate, but also using the abilities of the Batmobile to augment Batman himself. So you would have seen in the demo, being able to eject out of the Batmobile to gain insane altitude and then dive down through.
This gonna hurt.
So the integration of Batman and the Batmobile really lay at the core of the design.
Damage reduction.
And this is my problem with the Batmobile. It's not that it isn't well designed. It isn't that it's not well executed as an idea. It's that the Batmobile was designed not around Batman, but rather they shifted Batman to fit with the Batmobile. It's the chicken and the egg situation, and unfortunately in this case it seems as though the chicken came before the egg, which doesn't even make sense. Instead of justifying the Batmobile in the lore and having some sort of situation where instead of a bunch of drones everywhere, they just use the Batmobile for some quick navigation, and if you want to use it for some Riddler challenges and AR challenges, you can do that. Instead of doing that, which would have made sense, and I think most players would have been fine with, they made it a staple of the entire game, and then they realized, well, we can't have people in the enemy drones, otherwise Batman's killing them. So they just justified it by saying, well, no, we just won't have people in them. We'll say that they were unmanned to challenge him, because that makes so much sense. And players could tell this, and again, I'm not totally sure if it's that they honestly thought this was going to be a super beloved feature of the game, or if they just decided, listen, we poured so much time and money into the development of this tank that we need to give it a chance. We need to have it as a staple of the game. Maybe it was an executive over at Warner Brothers that looked at it and said, you know what, we need to try it, we need to give it a shot, we need to put it in the game, like, so 15-20% of the game is the Batmobile and Batmobile sections. I don't know what happened. Either way, it doesn't work. And honestly, I can't say much about it beyond what's already been said, that it just isn't fun. After the first few fights, it starts to get boring, and everybody keeps waiting for it to be used in a new and exciting way, and eventually it's tied into some puzzles, and you can do the remote control so that you can use it to take out enemies, things like that, but beyond the same sort of combat sections, it doesn't really do anything. And I will say, some of the later combat sections are straight up horrible. I was stuck on one combat section, basically the last Bat Tank section. Like I said, I played on the hardest difficulty for over an hour. I was stuck on it for over an hour on stream because you were only basically able to take one hit and then you were critically injured. And any sort of shrapnel, anything that hit you, you were going to blow up. So you had to play it literally perfectly. And it just wasn't fun. It just wasn't fun. I don't know what else to say. It just goes to show you anything in excess is a bad thing. The Batmobile could have been really cool if it were just used for the Riddler races and stuff, which I personally really enjoyed, and with some of the occasional puzzles with the remote control. Other than that, bat tank fights aren't interesting, they aren't fun, they don't feel like they should be in a Batman game. They just feel out of place. And at the end of the day, I think the easiest thing I can say is that if the bat tank sections were cut from the game, I don't think it would be any worse, and if anything, it might be a little bit better. And if you can say that about any feature in your game that's a AAA major release, something's wrong. Something is very wrong. Now, as for the combat, I will hand it to Rocksteady in that the free flow combat system has sort of run its course. It was super novel and cool and interesting when it launched with Arkham Asylum back in 2009, but after that, it slowly started to stagnate and stale. We've seen that in, for instance, Shadow of War, where the combat system, even though it's free flow, feels fairly stagnated. And in Arkham Origins, it was polished up a little bit more, but in Arkham Knight, they really cinched everything up. And if I had to use one word to describe it, it is cinched, or maybe streamlined would be another way of putting it. Everything is just polished. There's very little latency between animations playing. Everything's very fast-paced. All of the tools work very well together. It just feels very clean. They added new finisher moves, as you would expect. Each of the characters that are different and can be played have different finisher moves that are fun and interesting and unique. They did about as much as you could possibly do to keep the fighting sequence.
I did not see that launch.
And I think that was part of the reason they brought in the Batmobile, was specifically because they were worried that it was just going to feel like more of the same if they came in with just more of the free flow combat system. They wanted to bring in something more, something new, something fresh.
This could go bad.
You just gotta make sure that it's fun. They added in new enemy types, such as the medic class, which actually can revive previously downed opponents. So if you're one of those players,
this could go bad.
Afterwards, and slowly take people out over the course of like 30 minutes. That's not gonna work anymore.
This gonna hurt.
Will actually come and revive them, so you're constantly fighting uphill battle. So it encourages you to play a little more riskily, to be more aggressive, and I think that's something.
In every summon board, I always get the resist or
I will
invasion.
also say the sidekick fights where you go in, for instance, with Catwoman, and you're able to fight side by side, and with a single press of a button, you're able to switch between the two characters and finish with each other. It works amazingly well. It's incredibly well polished. I freaking love how they did this, how they implemented it. In fact, I loved it so much I wish that they had used it more in the game. And it, I think, goes to show that a free flow combat system in a game with like 2 or 3 characters playing with you as sidekicks.
I did not know he was gonna do that.
The Suicide Squad game could really work well. The Predator sections, in other words, the stealth sections, are really well polished. They all are done very, very well. The AI feels relatively smart as you would expect it to be. Everything works very well, no glitches like we saw in Arkham Origins. Again, if you want to see my gripes with that game, linked below. They also threw the player some new tools, such as the voice synthesizer, where you can, for instance, have Harley calling to her guards to go and check out an area, in which case you are setting them up straight for a trap, which is kind of cool, and allows you to use a lot more of your weapons and abilities that you wouldn't normally be using, and I thought that was kind of cool. And they also added
that was scary.
Which plays into the whole broader meta theme of the game, which is that fear controls everybody, and these are basically just takedowns where you're able to take out like 3-ish people all at once, and it helps pair up against a lot of the other design choices that they made with regards to the combat, which is a big increase in terms of quantity of enemies on screen at a given time. So instead of just trying to increase the health pools of each enemy, they tried to add in a lot more people, and to balance that out, they give you fear takedowns where you can take out like 3 at a time. Some people have gripes with these fear takedowns, saying that they're inelegant and that they aren't fun, or that they make the game too easy. And if that's the case, I would say play it on the hardest difficulty, because the whole point of the fear takedowns is that you're taking down 3 of the like 30 opponents that are on screen and that you're fighting in an arena. And even then, the fear takedown has to be set up very precisely in order for it to work, because it can be interrupted. And even if you do there's one guy left behind afterwards, you have to be careful, because you can only really withstand one single shot from a sniper, for instance. Otherwise, you're dead. Again, on the higher difficulties. I don't want to go too much into the idea that there's a right way and a wrong way to play certain games, but I think there are
this
ways
is gonna
that
kill me.
tend to lend themselves to using more of the game's mechanics and playing it truer to what the developers expected you to do with regards to the gameplay difficulty. And if if they're going to have difficulty sliders, which are something I've already come out and condemned,
that's gonna kill me.
difficulty sliders in games, I think you should be able to choose and stick with it throughout the whole game.
That was gonna kill me.
The onus is on the developer to balance the game properly throughout the entire experience. But that's a topic for another video. I already made. One thing that changed was the design of side quests and the main story quest, which has always been kind of weird in Arkham games because they've always been sort of smaller size things that you just are kind of supposed to figure out yourself. But what they did this time around was that they added it into a wheel that you pull up and are able to select different side quests from. And initially it seemed like it should be okay, but it's just kind of weird. And I guess it was meant to try to prevent you from pulling up a big menu and queuing up which one you want. But to me, it just never felt quite right. I don't know why, I don't know how, I don't know how to explain it. It just didn't feel right. But I fully admit that this is completely personal and subjective. Like, this is not an objective criticism. I just don't like that the quest is set up in a wheel format. I find it kind of stupid. I don't like it. You can love it. I personally don't. I prefer the list where I can read in-depth descriptions of what I'm doing. I just prefer that. And you can't talk about any sort of Arkham game without addressing the Riddler challenges. And there's a lot. In this game, there are 243 individual challenges from the Riddler that he offers you. And again, if you want to 100% complete the game and get access to the final true ending yourself, you have to complete all 243 of them. And they put some effort into these. Some of these are actually pretty tricky and time-consuming. I love them. My personal favorites are the Bat car races. I personally really like them. I just find them fun. The Batmobile controls very, very well. I think it's polished. I find the idea of swapping between the platforms kind of intriguing and requires some decent timing. But again, completely subjective. I personally just enjoy them. There's other quests, such as the serial killer quest, where you go and you inspect bodies and you try to hunt down the serial killer who has a love for opera music and things like that, which again, I think were done very, very well. They gave each of these side quests the time of day. I just think that they have a really weird way of pacing them where if you want to go and, for instance, track down the serial killer, instead of following a series of clues to its conclusion, you're expected to do one portion of the investigation.
I should survive this.
3 hours of gameplay later, they'll unlock the next section of it. So then you go and investigate that, and 2 or 3 hours later you go and investigate the next section. And it can work fairly well. Personally, I just don't like that method of employing quest markers, where they're timed between and behind certain doors within the main story. I understand sometimes that's necessary. I prefer to just be like, oh, I'm really interested in hunting down this serial killer. I'm going to go figure that out. And then I go and I figure it out until it's done. I don't like being told, okay, now wait a couple hours and then we'll reveal it. But they don't even say that transparently. Often it's just, well, keep exploring the city, and if I see something, I'll let you know. Great. I love that. I hate it. But lastly, the very last thing I want to discuss is the Joker. Because I feel like he's the guy that comes in and absolutely steals the show, as Mark Hamill has a tendency of doing. He has some moments and one-liners in this game that are just absolutely hilarious. Like talking about how he swept Barbara off her feet. So savage. He's a constant presence as you explore the city. He pops up on rooftops. You'll see billboards replace the initial image that was there earlier in the game with his likeness as the game goes on. It's really well done. It's very, very subtle in many cases, and it's very clearly put in front of you in other instances where he has a very dark joke to put forward, and they're all delivered fantastically well. They're hilarious, and I'll be honest, I think that's contributory to part of the reason why at the end of the game I felt kind of sad that he was gone, because I really enjoyed having him with me throughout the whole main campaign, constantly commenting on everything that was happening. And to lose him then at the very end felt kind of empty. But again, I think that was part of the design choice, because Batman probably also feels a little empty to no longer have his nemesis there anymore. I think it works very well. But in summation, I think Batman Arkham Knight is probably
I didn't even mean to do that.
The most impressive game in the entire franchise. I think the graphics are far and away some of the most impressive graphics we've ever seen in a game, even to this day. I think the gameplay is fairly polished. I think everything is done remarkably well. except for that glaring issue, which is the Batmobile, and of course the PC port at launch. Now, everybody knows that the PC port was terrible. Everybody knows that the Batmobile was awful, and it didn't make sense.
This is a blind one, by the way. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Bad that they ruin the experience of the game completely and entirely. And personally, I don't think they do. I love the game so much, honestly, I would go back through it right now on stream if I had the time. By the way, another reason
love this combo
is that I just got the review code for Greedfall, so I'm going to be playing that game over there on Twitch if you want to check that out. Make sure to follow me, sub, all that fun stuff. Links below. And here I'm going to be a little bit of a hypocrite because I think it's important that I actually offer my final perspective and advice on how, I guess, to play through Arkham Knight for the best possible experience. Because obviously there's this glaring issue with the Batmobile. And I've said before, I hate dynamic difficulty sliders because they can be abused to change the overall way that the game is built compared to how the developer intended the player to approach it. That's true, and I still stand by that, insofar as the assumption is granted that the way that the game was designed by the designer is the best way to play it, is the best way the game can be, which often is the case because they're the ones that designed it and poured years of effort into polishing that experience. But once we land with a game that is in its pure form with the Batmobile,
this could be bad.
Not as fun as if you play it without the Batmobile, then we can start to abuse the difficulty sliders so we get the experience that's actually more engaging, more fun for the overwhelming majority of players.
This
so
might be bad.
Is giving Batman Arkham Knight a shot. I really think it is worth a shot, especially because you can get it for very cheap nowadays. It goes on sale constantly.
Oh no!
From $20, it drops to like $15. All the way down
you
to $5.
Gotta be kidding me!
And I would suggest playing through it on the hardest possible difficulty for the first couple hours, giving that a shot. And if you hate the Batmobile section,
gotta be kidding me!
Just drop the difficulty down to the easiest possible difficulty, knock that out,
You
and then
gotta be kidding me!
I know it sounds stupid, but it's the only way
My
I
fault.
can think of skipping those Bat Tank sections at least relatively quickly and not bothering with them. Just skip right past them, jump forward, and continue about your day. And you know, I don't want to act as though it is far and away just a game-breaking, terrible mechanic. It's awful. It's well done.
This is a good team. I know it is.
Well done. It's just not something that feels at home or as though it should be in a Batman.
It was my fault.
It just feels out of place. That's the best way I can describe it. Some people love it.
That was painful.
Games and love tank sort of games and militaristic, tactics games where you have to dodge constantly, those types of things.
That was painful.
Those people love the Bat Tank and everything that they did with it. I just personally don't, and a lot of other people don't. A lot of viewers on my channel, I'm sure, also don't like it.
Here we
but
go
at the end
again.
of the day, I still stand by my decision that Batman Arkham Knight is not the worst game in the franchise. And if I had to rank the entire Arkham series, are you ready? I've critiqued all of the games at this point. I can have them all linked below this video. If I had to rank all of them from beginning to end, this is what it would be. At the very bottom, I would put Batman Arkham Origins. I just don't like it. I think it's broken. I think it's not very polished. I think it's a copy and pasted mess from Arkham City. My time playing it, it was a glitch-filled mess as well. I just personally don't enjoy it. That doesn't mean you're wrong for enjoying it. It just personally doesn't connect with me. Above that, I put Batman Arkham Asylum. It's got a lot of nostalgia feel for me, but it is an older game. It's not as drawn out as a lot of the others, and it's very linear. Above that, we're left with Batman Arkham City and Batman Arkham Knight, both of which I think are fantastically well built and very well done. For me personally, maybe I'll change my mind after some more reflection, after some more thought. But for me, my favorite in the series is still Batman Arkham City. Now, I'll be very transparent in the fact that I have a huge nostalgic and emotional attachment to Arkham City. It's the first game I ever 100% completed. I love it to death. That's part of the reason that I think it takes the cake for me, because it was part of my childhood. I absolutely love that game. But Arkham Knight, honestly, if I were to play through it again, it might rank a little bit higher. Especially now that I know what I'm getting myself into with regards to the tank battles. I would probably try to skip past them and then play the rest of the game. Because the rest of the game really is fantastically well built. And you know, all of this just goes to show that you can't just shove a feature down the player's throat. You can't just expect them to enjoy it because you put a lot of money into it. A big budget does not always a fantastic game make, and there's a lot more that goes into it. And developers have to be humble enough to accept and admit when certain features and certain
Why? Okay.
that its developers were not humble enough to accept that something they had poured so much time and effort into was just not enjoyable. It almost ruined the entire game for everybody. So moving forward with whatever they're working on next, I hope that they're able to accept that they made some mistakes with Heart of Night, to say the least, learn from it, and move forward and release once again one of the best games in the generation, just like we were saying back when Arkham City launched. We were capable of it, especially if they launch it as a launch title for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Sparkling, whatever it ends up being called, an independent. But that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Me and Khaleesi both. I don't know if you can see her. She's hanging out there. We both thank you for watching, honestly and truly. We love you very, very much. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. It actually does help. I hate you to say that. It actually does. I did the math. And if you want to see more videos like this, leave a comment as to what game you'd like to see me critique next, and subscribe. Make sure you're into that as well. Beyond that, if you want to see more videos like this made more frequently, make sure to support me over on Patreon for just over 3 cents a day. You can support me, get access to all of these critiques early and before everybody else, behind the scenes, sneaks, whatever you want to call it. Or if you don't like Patreon, just hit the join button right next to the subscribe button. That works too. You get access to all the same stuff. Follow me on Twitch, all that stuff, Twitter, all that. I love you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video. I love you. Peace out. Hugs and kisses. Bye. What can I say about The Last of Us that hasn't already been said? This game has been out for 4 years now and has received its own remaster, in addition to hundreds of awards for all elements of its construction, and it is getting a sequel sometime in the near future. Now, while I cover a lot of older games on this channel,
Now I activate Beatrix evasion.
The Last of Us, and so I've been battling myself on how exactly I should approach this video. On the one hand, if I do a straightforward critique of narrative and gameplay systems, I'll be criticized for reiterating what someone else said years ago and for being unoriginal. But on the other hand, I can simply analyze the game's story and try to provide some meaningful commentary on what many people consider to be a masterpiece.
Are you kidding me?
That I'm very non-committal. I've decided to do both. I'm going to go through the narrative very carefully from beginning to end.
This is why you get evasion.
Without holding back. And don't worry, timestamps will be included in the description for those of you who like to watch these longer videos in parts. I have also uploaded this video to SoundCloud in case you want to listen to these long-form videos like the podcast as I do. Again, links to all of this in the description. Before we get started, I'll just quickly clarify that I've played The Last of Us 5 times now, twice on my own, once with my girlfriend, and twice for this video specifically. One of those times on the grounded difficulty, which is the hardest one there is. And in full disclosure, I do consider The Last of Us to be one of the greatest games ever made, especially from a narrative perspective, and we'll explain why I think that as we go through. But with that said, let's get started. As usual, I would like to thank the people over at The Last of Us Wiki for compiling so much useful information. They really helped out with the making of this video, and I'm going to use certain excerpts from that wiki. So if you're interested in the lore, the world, and weird details about The Last of Us as a video game, I highly recommend that you go over there and check it out. I will also be referencing and clipping certain segments of a documentary called Grounded, the Making of The Last of Us, many times throughout this video. So if you see clips or background filler footage of people in weird suits performing scenes from the game, then that's what that is. It's actual behind-the-scenes footage from the making of the game. As we go through the narrative, I'm going to be pulling from this documentary as well so that you can hear what the actors actually were saying, what the creative director was saying about the scene when they were creating it, to give you the complete look at what exactly made The Last of Us so uniquely amazing. And as I'm sure you could have guessed, a link to the full version will be in the description below. The game opens up by introducing the player to the protagonist of the game, Joel, a single father living near Austin, Texas, with his only daughter, Sarah. He comes home late one night, talking on the phone with his brother, Tommy, Sarah's uncle, and he finds Sarah asleep on the couch, and after waking her up, she gives him a brand new wristwatch because it is, after all, his birthday. They both crack a few jokes, but soon after, Sarah falls asleep, and Joel takes her up to her bed and tucks her in. A few hours later, Sarah is awoken by frantic phone calls from her uncle Tommy, the same guy Joel was on the phone with earlier. He happens to be looking for Joel, but the call gets disconnected in the middle of their conversation. So naturally, Sarah gets up, and this is the first time the player gets control of any character in the game. Now, the opening of any story.
Now he's gonna do that AoE attack after he takes my brain.
Is very, very important. It sets the mood and it sets the standard for the rest of the story moving forward. The choice to give the player control of Sarah before we give the player control of Joel or Ellie or any other character is very, very interesting, and I think it's probably meant purely to make you connected with Sarah so that the coming moment becomes much more hard-hitting. Because if you play as a character, chances are you're going to be more attached to them than if you just so happen to see them.
Just in case.
Now, the entire point of this opening sequence is to show how close Joel and Sarah actually are. And this is meant to give you even more reason to be upset.
Perfect time.
In coming scenes when something bad happens. And we'll get there in a moment. But this is even seen in a little card that you can find on Sarah's nightstand if you happen to walk over there. This was the card she was going to give to her dad, but she forgot to. It's just so friggin' sweet. I don't even know what to say about it. It makes you really sense the love between these two, and it's very well done. The game ushers you into Joel's bedroom, at which point you can see a newscast on the television. The lady on the TV is talking about some sort of outbreak at the hospital. There's all sorts of issues going on, and it's clear that some sort of serious situation is developing wherever she happens to be. And it's at this
He's
moment
gonna HP attack?
implemented one of the coolest narrative and visual tricks I've ever seen in a game. Honestly, this was so simple but so cool to me the first time I saw it. What happens is there's an explosion on the
I don't trust anything he
just saw
does.
this in a video or in a cutscene for picking up some sort of item, kind of like they have in LA Noire where you pick up a newspaper, then you get a flashback. It wouldn't have much weight. It wouldn't have much severity because you would just say, oh, well, that's somewhere else, that's something else. It doesn't necessarily relate to directly what I'm doing. However, in the window, you see the explosion at the same exact time, showing you that this situation that she's referring to on the TV is very, very close to home, literally, and you should be worried. It's very, very simple, but I honestly just loved this moment. You go downstairs, and after you enter Joel's study, you see him run in, and he's loading a handgun. Clearly something is a little off, at which point the neighbor breaks through the sliding glass door and attacks them both, at which point Joel shoots and kills the man dead. Now, initially, I thought this was just to show that the zombies, or the infected, as they call them in The Last of Us, are a very serious threat and are violent. However, the more I thought about it, the more
He's gonna get pushed for. It's gonna be a waste.
Specifically with regards to the rest of the story as a whole. What I mean
Now I got
is that
two.
when we see Joel in the later sequences, specifically 20 years after all of this has happened, we see Joel as a character who has very, very few moral lines left to cross. He's done very, very bad things in his past, and taking a life is no strange activity to him. He's done it before, and he will do it again with great ease. This scene with Sarah is, as far as the player knows, the first time Joel has ever taken a life, and you can see how visibly shaken he is by it, how terrified he is by it. And Sarah is also just as terrified. They are not hardened at this point, and he's just a normal guy. So again, it's a small detail, but you don't see Joel killing anybody else throughout the rest of this entire opening prologue to the game. It's only at this moment that Joel kills someone, and I think it's important because it gives context to his character later on to see how far he's come or fallen, however you look at it. At this point, Tommy arrives and they run out of the house and hop in the car to drive away and flee the house. They have a getaway plan, but once they arrive there, it turns out that everyone else and their mother had the same exact idea. And it's at this point that you see some zombies in what I can only assume are hospital gowns jump out and start attacking people. They've broken out of the hospital nearby, and they're going savage. We break through the city, at which point we get T-boned and crash. And at this point, Sarah hurts her leg to the point where Joel needs to carry her. Now, this is something that's going to be very important later on, so I want you to remember this moment. The first time we get to control Joel as a character, he's carrying his daughter, Sarah. Remember that. We're going to come back to it. We run through the city with Sarah to try to get away and escape, maybe get to where the military are hanging out, somewhere where we can find shelter. We see people burning, we see people dying, getting eaten alive. It's all terrible and horrible. And at one point, we get pinned up in a bar, and Tommy, our brother, offers to hold them back while we get Sarah to safety. So you run down this little valley, then you climb back up, and we get a cutscene, which is going to offer the first real clear example.
I love using Edge. It's a good team. It just had bad turn decisions.
The soldier radios into his officer, and then this happens.
Just in case. That extra protection right there. Extra evading just in case I mess up. And he should get yeeted. And Beatrix. Yeah. What the fuck's going on? What the fuck's going on here?
Come on, please. Sarah. Baby.
Nah, was this in this time, bitch?
We're not even half an hour into the game, and already an innocent, sweet child has died in the arms of her father, and you had to watch it the entire time. Many other games or stories or films or TV shows, whatever, pick your poison, they wouldn't show this. They'd cut to black, or they'd show that, oh, she was shot, and then they'd leave it up to your imagination and maybe jump right ahead. But no, The Last of Us shows you every detail, every squeal, every
I love that he hits 99 without the summon.
You have to listen to and watch. It's meant to be disturbing. It's meant to be terrifying, just as much as it is for Joel. Now, already the quality of the acting, which I think I should address here, is very, very good in most games.
It's easy. It's just
me.
me.
2013, which wasn't that long ago, the acting in your average AAA game, especially a Naughty Dog narrative type game, was very, very good. However, The Last of Us seems to take it to a whole new level. This scene especially is incredibly well done. However, it didn't come naturally that way, and the main characters had a real hard time getting this scene just right. Now, in addition to doing YouTube and going to school full-time as a business student, I also happen to work part-time as an actor with many local theater companies, performing plays, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So I can relate to these actors describing how difficult these scenes can be. I was in one particular play called A Bright New Boise, written by Samuel Hunter. A brilliant play. If you like plays, you should definitely read it. And I was playing a character named Alex, who has panic attacks on stage, and we were performing in the round. There were moments where Alex needed to be writhing on the floor.
I forgot that Leo was a sword user for some reason. So that's why I died the first time. Easy team, it's just me. Waifus for life. The selfie saga continues. Hold up.
Plays Joel in The Last of Us spoke to this, saying specifically that when this scene came up, he asked the director, Neil Druckmann, to give him a big heads up so that he could have time to prepare mentally for this scene, because it was going to be so draining. I'm going to show you in its entirety the initial performance, the very first take of this scene, and I want you to see how far the last scene came, and specifically how this one is different.
I don't really need anyone right now. I got all her gear, so I'm purple my waifu and try to use her for entropy 10.
As you can see, it's much more dramatic, melodramatic even. It's very, very animated and loud, and it's very, very tense, and it gets that point across, but it's almost
Waifus for life.
And Neil Druckmann, the creative director, an individual who's never directed any narrative, any plays, any films, any TV, any games even before The Last of Us.
Well, I'm going to get back to farming.
This repeatedly, do multiple takes, and even 2 weeks later, reshoot the entire scene. Neil Druckmann recognized that this scene was not about being a very loud, melodramatic actor who could show everyone